Hello, hello, and welcome to Is This Really for Kids? A podcast where I, your host, TheaTouchton, decide is this piece of media worthy of children? Yes. Kids can watch it, but we should talk about it. That's usually the conclusion. And so we do. Thusly, I'm qualified because I had a childhood full of turmoil and I educate myself on mental health practices every day. And I also am a filmmaker and an actor, so I understand the movies. So it's a fun time. Let me know if you ever want to be a guest. Just make sure to follow me on all of the socials, and we'll figure all that out. Thanks. Get ready for today's episode.
But anyway, we're going to talk about A Quiet Place 2. If you haven't seen it, you should go check out the Quiet Place 1 video so you kind of know what we're talking about. Unless, I guess, you only want to hear about A Quiet Place 2. And then, well, welcome.
Welcome.
That's my boyfriend Luke. Sorry, I was about to introduce him, and then I had to cough. But I will probably delete the cough, so all you'll hear is me explaining about it, because I'm too embarrassed to let you guys hear how I cough. That's private to me. So, also it really offends my cat Marcy, so given her beliefs in the house system, I've changed. Anyway, so Quiet Place 2 kind of starts off with, like, it's a prequel at the beginning. So they kind of trick you to be like, oh, we're not going to continue. You heard that we were going to continue. We weren't going to continue. It's a prequel. And then it's not a prequel. It's just, there's a part that is prequel-y. Is an opening scene. I don't know how I feel about them using it. Also, we saw this movie in theaters. I guess we should clarify that because that does, I think, affect the experience. So in theaters, water was $6, and that was down from the Chinese theaters $8, right? $7. No, $7.
I think it was $7.
$7, yes.
But I think it was a bigger bottle for $6.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the bottle was bigger.
It was bigger than the other one. Yeah, at the one that we went to for A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
But to be fair, we got into the Chinese theater for free. So
that's true.
It's fine.
Shh,
yeah,
hush,
so
hush.
We won't talk about it. Thanks, Steven. I'm just kidding. Sorry, Steven. I'll protect you. We had a magical wizard at the Chinese theater. Okay, is that true or not? Who knows? Anyway, so John Krasinski is in there because he had to be in his own movie. You know what I mean? I'm an actor. I get it. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about how in the beginning, we kind of mentioned on the first one, but it goes, all of these previews of horror movies coming out in theaters, and then it goes, hi, I'm John Krasinski, and I want to thank you for going to see it in theaters. I'm really passionate about theaters. Make sure you're getting out there and seeing it in the theater. And it's like, I understand, I almost feel like this should have came after the movie, when we were all done. I still hate both of it, but in terms of placement, I would have rather it come after. Because here's the thing, too. It's kind of a silly message because we're already at the theater, right? I guess it's rewarding good behavior, but we're, like, already here ready to support you and give you our money.
Yeah, it's not... And I think I've seen it. I've seen before when there is, like, sometimes there's a little, like, message from the director, right? Like, I think when I saw, like, The Incredibles 2, there was, like, a little thing. Sometimes there's, like, a, hey, we made this movie, and we're going to say some pointless things that we don't need to say at the beginning that don't tell you anything, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't... I also hate, like, talkbacks and things like that most of the time, right? Because I'm
sometimes
like, usually
I really like one, yeah.
they can be good. Oftentimes they're just a bunch of people asking questions because they want to know real things, but then the people won't actually reveal any real information. You know, it's like, what was the filming process like? Oh, it was great. It was a great process. We were great.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
I guess I've had the
cares?
privilege to be, and a lot of the talkbacks that I go to are very educational, and I guess that's kind of, you can kind of tell what a talkback is going to be in nature by it's just kind of the way the event is framed. If you do like a little research, sometimes you can kind of pre-screen how bad a talkback is going to be.
Sure.
I've been like, I feel like I learned a lot on the ones of Judy, and sometimes too, it's not necessarily information about the film, it's information about the people making the film and kind of attitudes and characters. Like, I don't know, I feel like I learn a lot from talkbacks because a talkback is you're going to either get a great character, you're either going to know how to schmooze when you leave out of it, or you're going to know something really cool about the filmmaking process. And I feel like each of those are worth the, 30 minutes they usually are. The only time they suck is when people have an opportunity to ask questions and they ask the most dumbest questions.
Yeah, they ask, this super long, rambling question that is like, hey, I want to
It's
show
really
off
a
how much I
compliment.
know
Yeah.
about movies or something, you know.
Oh, yeah. I hate it. I don't mind the, oh, I really admired you. They gotta cut it short sometimes. Sometimes people go and ramble for, 2 paragraphs of, oh, I really admired you. And it's you know, you can say it and you can say it not. When it goes on to, it's been 2 minutes of you saying how much you love this celebrity, I, I'm like, okay, they didn't get here. It's not like a meet and greet, right? It's a question, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a ask a burning question that you want to know. I remember like I didn't ever know what it was to be a hero in the industry until at a film, I think what it was called. I can't remember, but you go and we would see the new movies from the Directors Guild. I don't remember what the thing is called on the SAG. I think it's just like film club, honestly. It's something really simple. And so you would go and I asked a question. But yeah, one lady tried to give her a CD in the bathroom and she was like, not having, right? She was like, well, she was so nice, but the bodyguard was like, no. And it was like just a series of questions after that. And I asked I think I asked the supporting one. I don't even remember what I asked him. It was just something about like, oh, like was the process of like getting into a guy with like mommy issues. It was something like technical, but also like personal to his journey of like, was it like hard embodying this guy? You know what I mean? When you don't know about him, because it was like Judy Garland's boyfriend, right? Was it like hard, because I think somebody had already asked about the basics, because they have like, that's the other thing too, is that usually from those topics they have somebody who comes out and is a professional question person, like, and so she leads like the majority of questions that you would want answered, and then they open it up to the audience, which I think is the successful thing of Q&As, which doesn't always happen at film festivals.
True.
And that's what they need somebody to like a guaranteed interviewer. Hi, I'll interview people at film festivals, I'm perfect for that. Hi, here's all my information's below. Anyway, back to A Quiet Place 2, because my boyfriend has to work early. So it's a bomb in China that we see at first. That's like, we get like a prequel because it's John Krasinski there after greeting us. He is also alive and well. And yeah, they were already showing too, they kind of just established that they already had sign language, the knowledge of sign language before. They didn't learn it in A Quiet Place, which could have been a wondering of, did she? Because I think there was a moment of like, oh, how long has she been deaf, right? That we don't get answered in the first one.
And that's the thing. I know that I definitely assumed that they knew sign language because of her, because she probably, otherwise,
Yeah.
like, I guess you could get a sign language book and like learn it, but
Yeah, I knew that her influence probably did help them learn sign language better, but I didn't know how long, right? To me, it was unclear, because we didn't see the before until now, is if she lost her hearing because of these things,
Sure.
right? Like, I was unsure of that. But it seems that she was always deaf. So it's at a baseball game. I honestly like the choice of a baseball game for this to happen. It was weirdly fit, right? It was weird.
yeah, and it's sort of just like family, right? Like, I played baseball as a kid. My parents would come to the games and watch me suck, you know.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I did well. Yeah, I feel like that is a very, and the thing is, it's very like all American family, right? Like, that's the I think both movies it's like, what if a family, if this happened to just like a random family in the Midwest or upstate New
Yeah.
York or wherever this is supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, they feel like a little more liberal because of the deaf daughter in some ways, right? Like, they feel a little more special. They feel a little more different. They're not exactly average, but they're like doing an average thing that any of us could do. And I think the thing that got me is, oh, they were in a crowd when this happened, right? Like, which helps, I think, in some ways, and also hurts in other ways that come. So basically, I guess the bombs were the creatures is my takeaway.
I watched a couple YouTube videos. I guess it's supposed to be, and I think he said this in a thing or something. It's like these aliens' planet got like destroyed or something, and they were on like an asteroid or something, and then they all get like basically thrown onto Earth, right? But it's like these are like the last of these aliens from this other planet, and they have like, Earth is going to be their new home.
That's interesting, because I did feel, you haven't really seen Stranger Things and you don't care about it, but that the creatures there feel very similar to the Demogorgon to me, and just in texture of the skin, like that thing, whatever that, it's like weirdly alien, but it also feels demonic. It kind of reminds me of Silent Hill, the color of it. Like there's something about that skin thing that's used a lot in, like, I don't know. And aliens are apparently in Silent Hill, so who's to say what's going on? But anyway, these things, like, they feel a lot faster in this opening. And it might just be that they were there, like that they freaked out and now they've had time with the world, right? But they feel like crazier.
Here is where we come to the first of my gripes. They are at times so fast that they can outrun a car, right? Sometimes people are driving in a car as fast as the car can go, and the monster is faster. And at other times, people will like outrun them on foot, right? It's like, how can you ever escape these things if they're faster than a car, right?
Yeah.
You can't. Like they're faster.
Well, and I will say that usually to chug up to any sort of speed or to like match its speed, it seems like it's got to do like, it's hard to do this on a podcast. I should have done this on video, but it's basically like making like a circular motion with my body, right? There's like a lunge forward that you have to do for physics. Cause even, I will say when they attack, they usually like rear back and then attack. And that does, it's different than like just a full on bite. I know this is like a weird conversation to talk about, but I can like, in their defense, I can kind of see that. Also, we don't know, like humans, there are some humans that are smarter than others, right? We don't know if each creature has its own intelligence. They seem pretty remote, like towards the same, but that's just like, we're seeing things from their perspective, right? They don't have time to really consider, they're traumatized, right? Usually when you're traumatized, you're not being like, well, that person was just acting in their trauma, right? And it wasn't really about me, right? Like I could take this less personal, right? They're not doing that with the monsters. They're just being like, oh my God.
Sure.
But yeah, so yeah, I can't imagine being in a bus. I can't imagine, yeah, they like end up sticking with the policeman, which I don't know. Part of me feels like they're not the type of family to do that, but I guess they are. Like, part of me doesn't believe that he would go with the cops. Part of me just believes that he would have taken his family and kept running, but
I think that because it seems like it's a small town.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's very small town, to me it felt very Midwest. I don't know. I assume we could look up where it takes place. I don't remember where it is.
I'm like...
But, like, it feels definitely very small town, and I think that police are perceived very differently in small towns than they are in bigger cities. Like, I think a lot of times, because it's like,
I don't know.
That's like
we were like a suburb and our police was bad and we knew it. I mean, I guess Rochester was a bigger city, so we were like very, very close to Rochester essentially, but it was still like, I knew a lot of people who didn't trust the police. It also could be just like a different era too. He is not, I feel like your generation is often probably more trust the police, or maybe it just depends. Obviously, your dad is a cop, so this equation is all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking at the settings. Sorry. Well, now they're just telling me where they filmed it, which is in the town of Paulding in Dutchess County, county city of Beacon. I don't know where any of this is. Year it takes place in, I guess state of Iowa. So they're in Iowa. So
okay.
You're right, it is Midwest. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I guess I could get it. Part of me, I guess the Midwest is really green. It's been a while since I've seen all that green.
Pretty green.
Yeah. Oh, when the traffic lights fall down too. When they told me the size of actual traffic lights, right? Like that was like messed up, right? That was like kind of like a change in perspective, right? Or maybe I was just stupid and didn't understand that. But I didn't realize how big traffic lights are for a long time. I was pretty old when I realized that.
I don't think I have ever seen one like up and close in person.
They're huge. They're like really big, like falling from the sky. Like it's just like little things that you're like, I'm walking in the street. This is safe. I'm going at the crosswalk, right, with the traffic light, and then you don't think, oh, in an emergency, this is not a safe place to be.
Question: was the one in Mr. Rogers' house a full-size traffic light?
I don't know enough about it in my memory. I didn't watch a lot of Mr. Rogers. Okay. I watched some Mr. Rogers, so.
Okay.
And then, I guess for me too, the interesting about the prequel, when I started following in it, I was like, yeah, you have all these people making noise and they don't know. They don't know at this point. These things just came down. They don't know that it's sound.
Yeah.
Right? You just think that it's so far too, when they've came down, they've just attacked.
Yeah, for sure. And just when things attack, you run away and scream.
Yeah. And it would be so messed up to be like, oh, here's this cop. We're friendly with this cop, right? He's dead now, right? You just went through, especially in a small town, so many deaths of people you know in a day. I feel like we got a lot better at tragedy scenes as Americans. It's going to sound really weird and probably correct, but after, honestly, the hurricane in Katrina, yeah, in New Orleans. Because I feel like it was like after that some of this sort of like apocalyptic terror thing started to go into high demand, I feel like.
I mean, for like my generation, that was like the first. I guess that's the one big natural disaster that really had an impact on the U.S.
Yeah.
I guess there are.
I count 9/11 as a natural disaster.
Oh my God. Well, and there was like that hurricane in Texas
I mean,
not
there's
that long
tornadoes
ago.
all the time. Yeah, that one hurricane did hit pretty hard too, but I don't think it got as much coverage as
Katrina was
big.
and I think that it was like things were handled badly.
Yeah, they were,
and
from what
things
I
were,
remember on the
like,
tour. Yeah.
I mean, the thing I remember is when people weren't leaving. I remember watching the news and it being like, a bunch of people aren't leaving and they need to leave, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, people were like, it's not going to be that bad. It was
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Yeah, that's hard. And it's hard, like, what do you say? I guess that's, to me, that is the core of what Noah's Ark is really about, is people not believing the weather sometimes. Like,
well, and I remember being, like, where I grew up in Wisconsin, we would get tornadoes sometimes. Like, none ever, like, hit our house, right? But they, like, got, you know, like, had touched down somewhere nearby or were, like, sighted somewhere nearby. And there's that thing of, like, do we go in the basement, right? Like, at what point do we go, this tornado might hit the house, everybody get into the basement, right?
yeah.
And at what point are you like, it probably won't. It's still a little ways away. Like, but it could turn. And yeah, that thing of like choosing when to react.
Well, definitely me. I don't know enough about, I don't keep any tracks on earthquakes at all over here. Like I'm kind of like, at this point, do I want to, my big thing is like, if a natural disaster is coming, do I want to survive it? Like, I don't know. I'm in that mindset. I need to get out. But anyway, so then this prequel thing, they try to disguise it. It's the boy's memory of like when this all started. A cute filmmaking trope. Krasinski, I see you. But my favorite part too was that in our movie going experience, somebody was like, "That's how the first movie ended." So spoke to his date who didn't know, because I heard right before the movie goes up, he's like, "Oh, did you see the first one?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be fun."
Oh man.
And then so their house is on fire. I don't really remember how their house got on fire, but okay. And
I think it was just like amongst the fighting and stuff, it just like
Yeah.
caught fire, I think.
sure, because I don't know how electric stuff works, so I guess yeah.
I mean, it was knocking around, it was smashing electric stuff. Sometimes fires start.
That's probably true. Anyway, so, and then there's still a flood, and then she has to go. I put the fire extinguisher at first because I don't know why I thought it was that. I guess I thought they were going to save their house more than she even tried, but she was like, no.
It does look kind of like a fire extinguisher.
Yeah,
I get it.
But it's the baby's gas is what she, like, goes back into the, like, water for.
The baby's farts, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She went in for the baby's gas.
Yeah, to, like, you know, whatever the oxygen, whatever it is. I thought it was sleeping gas, to be honest.
It also, and this is another of those things where we're like, so the water level has not changed. The water level very, very quickly went from the water was pouring to it is like you can swim in it, and it is up to like, I don't know, like shoulder height or something. I feel like she is like mostly submerged in the water, but it never passes the top of the thing where the baby is.
Yeah.
It like never gets any higher, and it just like seems to just like level out, and then it's not going to get any higher.
And I could maybe, here's the one thing, you know, sometimes in like houses, especially basements, is that there's like, sometimes there's a little floor that's higher and then there's a little indent, and depending on the way that the room is filled, sometimes I wonder too, like, how much water can a place really take, right, before it starts absorbing it through the bottom of it? Like, you know what I mean? Because they are at the basement to the ground, so it's like, I can maybe, I don't know enough about houses to say, no water can get through any part of any crevice in a house, right? Like, I have a feeling you can see it, what happens with, like, when you get water on the floor part of the time, especially, like, fake hardwood floors and even real hardwood floors, it, like, warps a little, you know? Like, it gets, like, up, like, so I could maybe, that's maybe why I cannot complain about the water height. They didn't lose me yet at this point. I was a little, once he had the thing before the movie, I guess it made me think that, we're not going to take it seriously, especially because he was so, like, joyous in the clip. And I don't know, it felt weird. But anyway, that baby cradle thing reminded me so much of Moses. Like, there was some weird biblical symmetry, right? I really felt that. I like kind of when horror does Christian stuff because it's very interesting to me. I feel like Christians really know fear too. So anyway, it just blows my mind that they leave this house with all the food and that her mom is bandaged foot and is traveling. I guess they think that they're going to just keep coming there.
And that's one of the things, maybe it's supposed to be they think they have to leave because are the things intelligent? Do they communicate with each other? And they're going to be like, let's all go here?
Or that they'll be like, it might be like a ripple effect of like, okay, these were the fastest ones over there that got the noise, and there's other ones like they heard it from over there, right? And so after a while of ranging around, because I still think they eat them. I don't know what you think. I'm saying they eat them. So after, I guess, wandering around not having food, right, you'll be like, oh, I'll go closer to where I heard the sound before. It's been a few days, so whatever the first scavengers were, I'll get the next, like, see if any life comes. Following basically like bait. And then anyway, they have to go on crunchy leaves, which also bothered you. I remember in the movie, because you were very upset. You were like, how do they... Then you're telling me he pours sand? Like, he was like, why don't they just pour sand when you were so upset about the crunchy leaves that they have to walk on. Well, and that being the sound that draws them, I guess.
That's the thing, is it's like they're making sounds, right? That are like, I feel like sometimes they can make sounds and it doesn't like matter that much, and then other times the crunching of a leaf is enough.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's about distance. To be fair, I will say when they've usually made a loud sound that I think would be enough, and like quiet sounds, it seems like I haven't seen a quiet sound done at a distance where the thing came. I have seen like them make a quiet sound and the thing was closer, and that allowed it to attack, right? Because it can probably hear better closer. So I wasn't gone yet. Anyway, though, then I started to doubt, though. Here's my one. I was like, oh no. I started to have the doubts. I started to get taken out of the movie because birds exist. And I was like, I didn't think about other animals, I guess, existing as much, even though there was a raccoon in the other one. I don't know. I guess to me, I was like, I feel like a bird would be the easiest motherfucker to catch because they make sound all the time, right? That's like their primary thing. Really easy. I mean, I guess they can get up to a certain point in the air, but I was like, I guess it brought into question. I was like, how many birds are still left? Like, what did this do to the bird population? And
maybe they don't like birds.
Maybe they don't. They don't like chickens. Yeah, so their gate makes noise because they find this, like, land of traps, essentially, all to a neighbor they knew, but we don't know that yet. First, we have to get to the land of traps. There are so many traps. I don't understand. I mean, I guess to maybe prevent the animal if they think it's coming towards them, but I'm also like, how did you not set this off? How do you not? I'm confused. Yeah. There were so many traps.
How do you...
I guess he was never going that way again.
Isn't that the risk of tying a bunch of very noisy things together to set up an alarm more dangerous than not having the alarm? Right? Yeah. Like, that is... There's no way you can do that silently. That you can, like, hang in a thing of jingly bottles together without jingling the bottles.
Yeah, I have a really hard time. I mean, maybe it's possible. I'm not good at those things, so I don't know. But anyway, also the weird thing that is never addressed is the person about to shoot. Like, it's all through the, like gun eye thing, which I guess we're supposed to assume was him, and he was debating about whether just killing them for his safety, which is also messed up, really, but not addressed at all. I mean, I guess why would he bring it up, right? He'd have to bring it up.
I think it was supposed to be he's just looking at them, but we don't know if it's a sinister person, right? But it's just like he's just using it as binoculars, which he doesn't have, right? He's just like using the scope instead.
But it looked like he was about to shoot. The way that it was directed, it was supposed to be that
we're supposed to wonder, right?
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, the way, I think they meant him to be a person that he is, but the character who he is doesn't convince you that he would do that because he goes along too quickly with other people's things, as you said. But anyway, so the little son, gets his foot trapped in the trap, and I was like, well, the movie's over, right? Like, I was like, there's no way they can survive. Like, part of me liked that, but it definitely cut ties with everything. I was like, it's already too hard. Her foot's already injured. The baby's already there. She's deaf. They just saw their father die. They left everything behind. It's too hard. Like, I was like, there's no way they're all going to die.
And it does. I think that kind of puts it into, like, it kind of throws it back into the formula of the original, because it's like they were going on a journey, which I was kind of looking forward to them being on a journey, and then now it's like, well, now they're not going on a journey. Right, because they can't go on a journey because he just got his leg destroyed by a bear trap.
Yeah.
Right,
well, so I guess for me, I didn't really want to see them go on the journey because I knew the journey was going to be fucking horrible. Like, I knew it was going to be really rough, which when the deaf girl goes off, it kind of is. Sort of. But anyway, yeah, I'm just like, I really felt they had no chance. And he's just like screaming, because it's like leg hurt. I mean, there's no way this kid cannot scream.
His leg is destroyed.
thinking about it makes my leg twitch. Like, it was brutal. And then, of course, all of the things, it summons the things. There's no way you can scream that loud, I guess. The more and more people they kill, the more and more silent the world gets for them to hear more. It's, like, weird to think about, but yeah. Anyway, it's their neighbor. I think we were supposed to pay attention to him more in the prequel. We didn't. He is, I guess in the prequel, the guy that, like, asks her about what is the hind language for dive, which is weird that he asked her that, honestly. I guess it's because he's at the baseball game for whatever, but I also don't know. I don't know. Anyway, because whatever. I think their son was up to bat, and that might have been the thing that he was trying to communicate, but also he can hear, and he was obviously not facing them, so I don't really understand why he did the sign language, but all right.
Another thing I don't get, why was he wearing a mask when they see him? Who is he? And I guess maybe it's supposed to be that tying a bandana around your face will muffle your breathing a little bit, but it doesn't seem that anyone else has.
Yeah, and I could see that being kind of new. I learned all new things having to wear a mask in COVID. It might have been also weird, like, I don't know what they reshot or whatever, but...
And to me,
yeah.
There's you can rationalize it, but it feels like the filmmaker going, we want this character to be a mystery and then to be revealed.
Yeah,
right?
And I think part of it was that he was their neighbor and he was, like, hiding his face because of that, which I could maybe see to be, like, because she does confront him and is like, why didn't you come look for me, right? Like, look for us. But I also think that I don't know if I would even go there, too, because I would be like, well, the more people we have, the more danger we are of making a lot of noises because crowds equal noise, right? Like, part of me is like, I think I would look at him and I would understand more why he didn't say anything, right? Because also, they could have went and looked for them. I know they had children, I guess, but I guess so did he. And didn't he have a wife? He had, like, I think he at least had a wife.
Well, he was at the children's baseball game, so he either has a child or is a pedophile.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
he
maybe
definitely
he was
has a child.
Maybe it's supposed to be he was a family friend and he was there.
I think he had kids. I can't remember what he said in the movie, but I'm pretty sure he said that his kids and wife, he's now all alone. He's, like, basically if the old man didn't scream. He's just there. I think he was strangely miscast. I really do. But anyway, he's like, you guys can't stay. There's not enough food and there's not enough anything. And they just left all the food back over there. I mean, maybe they could come back out and do it, but who knows how long this journey is, which we'll get to that in a second because then that really messes up things. But anyway, Emily Blunt begs him. And anyway, he has also this, like, vault that you can't hear in, but you have to make sure that you put a towel on it. But that reason's not really explained until later, a little bit until too late. And anyway, so the son screams because they, like, pour alcohol on his thing because they have to clean it. Because this guy's traps he honestly feels no remorse that it has messed up this kid maybe for life the way that they're treating it too. He has no feelings about this. Maybe he didn't set these traps, but still.
He must have set the traps.
Who set them? We don't know. And then you got mad about this, but I thought it was sweet because he was so in pain. I thought she was giving him music to distract him, to have something to focus on. But anyway, the sister gives him this, like, radio and is doing basically, like, white noise, trying to find something on the radio.
She's just playing him. Well, so she puts the headphones on him to play him the sounds of white noise. And then I guess she's scanning through the stations for him and happens to stop on one that has music on it.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
even though they already have music on their iPod too. But he was very excited about the music. I guess maybe the parents, they were like, that's just for us, which is so cruel, but I also get it because with kids so much things can happen, but oh my goodness. Anyway, so...
Oh yeah, because they have an iPod.
They do in the first one.
But the kids just have the radio that only plays white noise. Because the radio people are all...
But I mean, maybe they were just like... I mean, they were very intelligent because I don't know if I was in pain that I would have been like, music, that means that there's other people out there. And it's also like, we already just saw that we just met another person. Why are we so excited that there's other people out there? We already know that there probably is.
Should we talk about the problems that exist with the radio station, or should we wait until we get to the other place?
I feel like at the radio station, it maybe makes more sense. We also haven't gotten to the crux of the thing.
Yeah, we'll wait.
But anyway, it's coming, you guys. Get ready. So, yeah, he basically, this guy, and I guess it's weird. I don't know if we ever believed that he's going to turn these people away. Do you ever believe it? I don't think I believed that he was going to do it.
We know that he's not going to, and that's why to me it's kind of a dumb like character thing. His whole thing is he multiple times in the movie tells people he's not going to do things, and then he immediately does them without any reason to do them. They're just like, but will you please do it? And he goes, okay, I guess I will, but I won't be happy about it. And it's like, well, why didn't just have the character want to do it? Yeah. Right? Or like give him or make him or have him not want to do it and then make him do it. Nobody makes him do things. He just changes his mind and decides to do it for them.
Yeah. And we're not clear, or that's the thing, we need to see what changes his mind, and we do not see it.
Yes.
Because it's also, it ends up being a little bit of his story when it shouldn't be, because we don't know him, but it ends up being about him in a weird way. Anyway, the deaf daughter figures out, which I also am curious, her deafness to me, I know people have said different things, but to me, she seems like she's not suffering as much from being deaf as she was in the first one. And it could be because of the hearing aid. Now that she has it more, I think we just got it when we met her in the first one. So maybe I can give that. But it felt really uneven because it was like, in the last one, we didn't even see her talk at all. I guess that they're in a vault, so they can talk now. But she figures out it's the same song over and over. It's from Finding Nemo. That's how I know it anyway. It's somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me. It's a really good song. I probably will cover it one day because I like that song. But anyway, she's like, oh, it's an island, and there's people who want us to go there.
Well, because I think she knows the radio station. She's like, oh, it's this one. This is where it's located. That's where the broadcast is.
Yeah, she does look up where the thing, which is very smart. I would have not known how to do that at all. I don't know what you would have known how to do, but I would have known. So anyway, she sets out by herself, which is I feel like this is too dumb even for her, especially given everything that they've gone through is not that far away. She just saw her dad. And I mean, like, I guess you can argue that, like, oh, she was so sad about her dad that she went and, set off in, like, kind of this, like, not thinking grief. But I also am like, she has to know that it's really, she can't hear, right? She has to know that affects, that she shouldn't go alone, right? That's just stupid. And that also her brother just got his leg chopped off. You're going to leave him with the mom who has the baby too, and this guy who's already said that you're going to throw him off. Like, that doesn't feel safe, right? I don't think her dad would have ever left them alone, and I feel like she would have known that.
It seems like I think what it's supposed to be is that she realizes that their situation is so bad. The only option is to find a way to stop them, right? Because it's like, they've got the baby, he can't walk, they have nothing. They have no way to fight. That's have nothing. True. Like, the only thing you can do is like go on the offensive basically and stop them.
Yeah, and I guess she thought she would be slowed down by all of them.
I think she knew they'd never let her go. Yeah. Right, her mom is not going to be down to do that. The brother can't go. They can't bring the baby. Like, she's the only one that can do it. Right.
Yeah. Even if she's hindered, yeah, that's pretty powerful. And I didn't look at it like that from that perspective. So, but yeah, and then I don't really like the fight. It takes a while for me to warm up to the fight that she has with the guy asking him to go. I guess because I hate his character, and I hate the way that it was portrayed. He was so not good. He, like, honestly, it was from him that I lost hope in this movie, and I feel bad. I don't think he's like the worst actor ever. It's just not right for this, like, role and what they're trying to do. It's not written well either. It's just,
I don't think it's the performance. I think it's the writing of the character. He's the character who just kind of wishy-washy. He's just kind of whiny and wishy-washy, and he says he won't do things, and then he does them. That's his whole character.
I don't know, I feel like he didn't look like he belonged in the world, right? It felt like he was playing a different movie than they all were playing too, to be honest, which is, you can maybe say that it's just different because it's a different character, but I don't know. I didn't like him, and I think you really need to like these people in the horror movie, or you lose what is compelling about it. Because I kind of was like, well, I don't care if this guy dies, right? Like, I don't root for him at all.
Well, and it's hard because he's not the first thing that he does is say, go away, I don't care about you. I would rather save myself than try to take care of you, of these like helpless family, right?
Which a cold person, and I don't feel like from the cold people I've met, I haven't seen him like this guy.
And that's the thing is, like, if that is the choice, than make him a cold piece of shit who doesn't want to take care of them, right?
And I don't think that this actor, I don't think that was his type. You know what I mean? I think that is part of it. Like, I don't think he was the right casting as well to do this. I feel like he looked sort of like John Krasinski, and that's what caught him in. Like, had similar vibes of, like, rugged apocalyptic man, but his was, like, I feel like his to me feels like more Walking Dead, and I don't know why. That's, like, what he reminds me of, and it just doesn't fit to me in this horror universe. Sorry, not to be mean, but I just, like, he took me out of it. He really did, and I don't know how else to describe it. I just wasn't vibing with him. But anyway, it does get heartbreaking at the end. You can tell Emily Blunt is working her heart out, because she's like, listen, if there's anybody worth saving, it's my daughter, right? And I thought that was, like, a really beautiful moment. Daughter goes on this train randomly. Her feet are bleeding from walking, I guess.
And this is another gripe. They have been barefoot for, it seems like, a year at least. They were barefoot when they're walking in the first one in the beginning. So they've been barefoot for a very long time. When you are walking barefoot outdoors in the elements all of the time, you have calluses on your feet. Your feet do not cut from just, like, walking on some rocks. Because I don't think that she cut them. Maybe I missed something. I don't remember her, like, cutting them on some glass or something. Which even then, you can walk over glass when you have thick calluses on your feet from walking around on rocks and stuff all the time.
It's still going to be painful to some. Like, I don't know how developed, because they were mostly on sand, it looks like. I also think some shoes are quieter than bare feet, honestly. If you run when you're bare feet, you are loud. When you run with sneakers, you are less loud, right? Like...
Well, I think it's because, like, we're sticking to my feet, like, kind of sticking to stuff. But anyway, but I think that, like, I don't buy, and that's the thing. It seems like, because her feet are all bloody, that she goes onto this train, it seems like, to look for a first aid kit to put something on her feet, which seems very risky rather than just, like, tearing off a strip of clothing or whatever and wrapping it up. And I don't think I just don't buy that her feet would be all bloody just from walking around on some rocks, because she's been walking around barefoot all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I could buy it. They were very bloody, though. It's also, like, deserves some explanation. Like, you should maybe explain why her feet are bloody, because you've explained why Emily Blunt's feet is bloody, right? Like, and why this, like, we feel like we're missing some action in that we didn't see her journey of, like, it hurts, but I have to walk anyway, which I think was needed. But we spend a lot of time on these skeletons, which I don't really understand the logistics of. I'm like, did they just die there and then fade to these perfect skeletons? Or, because when that thing tears through, it, like, tears through you, right? You're not in this, like, perfect skeleton, right? Like, it's not Pirates of the Caribbean. So that took me all out. Also, there was no reason for her to go up in this train. I guess maybe because she was curiosity. It might be softer at her feet. I don't know. But anyway, then she screams because this one skeleton pops out of this first aid kit, which at first I thought she was getting for her brother, but I guess she's really getting for herself because of the feet.
Oh, maybe it was supposed to be that she's getting it because they will eventually, she'll go back to the brother eventually, and she...
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because we set up so much stake in the brother getting hurt, and then we just throw it away soon, but we'll get to that. Anyway, so I don't even know this guy's name, I so didn't care about him. But anyway, the guy that they made, who's like all not savey guy, he saves her. And then she's frustrated at him because she can't hear him. And he doesn't, like, know how to enunciate, I guess, or do anything with death, which I was like, oh, damn, like, that is hindering and interesting. I wish he was more of an interesting character, so I cared. But also, it didn't make sense the way that they were talking, given how close one of the creatures were. It would have come there based by the rules that they've said.
Yeah.
Then they're running out of the gas for the baby, which is why I think that it's sleeping gas, because I don't know why. I guess having oxygen I don't know why. I guess maybe when it's first born, it needs oxygen. I guess they take it away, right, to do that for a little bit. I don't know what that means. I don't understand. I'm kind of scared. Anyway, the fact that I don't know so much about babies does scare me. So way to go that. Quiet Place 2. But it's still, I don't know. It still is, like, weird to me that, like, a baby can't breathe even on its own. Like, it is that dependent. And, like, I don't know how the human race has survived. But anyway, the girl freaks out because the guy stole her hearing aid. And we think for a second, and I guess because the way the character is, it doesn't really suck me in. But I guess it's like, there's a part of it where it's like, this guy who robbed her and we're never gonna see her again, right? And I wanted that movie. I wanted him to just take the hearing aid and she's gone and has to go back, I guess. And it's just like, I mean, that movie's like depressing as hell, but it would have been who this character said that he was, right? If he was really this person. But anyway, he ends up finding the boat, which I don't even know if we know that she told him that, right? This movie's a mess. It's a freaking mess. And then the mom leaves as well because the baby's running out of gas, and
this is one of those things.
I don't think she would do it.
I don't buy the mom, like, who has just, like, her husband is dead, her son is probably dying. He's going to die of an infection of this leg. They'll have to cut it off probably. It's so bad. And she has a new baby, and then she's like, you know what I need to do? I need to go get more oxygen, I guess. And take a little detour over.
It's a huge detour, because that has to be, I mean, unless they've traveled very far away. I guess we don't know where the original house is. But it seems like, I understand you're grieving. There is no way that, given the current circumstances, that you would not rush back. You literally told your son it's going to be an hour, and you went and you dilly-dallied on it does not feel real. It feels like, okay, John Krasinski, you want this scene? You should have put it before they went out on the journey. That's where that scene belongs.
Also,
it doesn't need it.
I do not buy that any person who has just lost their husband would go and take the one thing that reminds them of the husband and leave it as a memento on a grave.
She's going to be reminded of the husband through her kids. So she doesn't, but it is weird. That's just not, it's not important enough right now, right? It's not, they're in crisis. Like their home is on fire. So even if she was leaving and taking a detour, it's weird. Because it just doesn't fit in the story. There's no time for this grief. Like, yes, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful moment, right? But it doesn't make sense. This
is like a month into the grief. You go and do that. Sure, maybe a week, right?
Yeah. Maybe when you're not being like, where do we live? Are we safe? My kid's not hurt, right? You're not. Yeah. There's no way on how hurt he was. But then I guess he's not even hurt at all once we get there. But anyway... So, yeah, he gets up, the son gets up, his leg that you're going to have to cut off, and they don't know how much of it they're going to keep. He gets up and walks around and starts exploring the thing and leaves the baby alone.
He's just got a little limp. His leg was like, and that's the thing, like, his leg was
messed up.
He was like,
all they did was pour alcohol on it.
Yeah. Right. This was not like oh, your leg is like a bit hurt. This was like, I know that screaming will kill me and my family, and I'm going to keep screaming for a long time because it is that painful. It was like he could not control his reaction, I think. Yeah. It was so painful. And he's just getting up and walking around, and then, oops, he makes a noise because he got scared by whatever. I don't even care. I was so mad that he was walking up. I just was raging at this point. And he's not even out to do anything. He's not looking for food. He has no reason to go out.
I do not believe we have set up this character to be the scaredest boy in the world. That he is literally has so much anxiety. I do not buy that he would leave. I can buy him peeking out at the top and then accidentally something at the top happening that shuts them in more, you know what I mean? Like, I can buy that. I cannot buy that he would go looking around and leaving that baby. It's all irresponsible. So now the mom is going to be set up when she comes back because there's no way to really warn her, like in the other place, that they are there. And then we meet these pirates which I also hate. Here's what I wanted. I wanted people who survived, but they morphed into this like alien zombie, whatever the creatures are. I wanted these like half humanoid creatures to be like, oh, now this world is like evolving. Like now there's some sort of like sci-fi element of like, because that's like what it seemed like, because he got lured by this girl that literally looks like she's like half dead. But it's just pirates, whatever. And they're all living together somehow, not making noise when they take from people.
Also, we have another problem with this character who his whole thing is he doesn't trust anyone. He's like, I don't even trust my friends. Mm-hmm. This clearly helpless family who he watched from a distance for a while. He does not trust them, right? For a while. He goes to help a little girl.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm going to go help this little girl, even though I know that everyone sucks in this world and that everything is horrible. I'll go help this little girl, maybe.
Yeah, it's terrible character, right? I cannot believe his character was so neglected, given how much screen time he has. So anyway, I still don't understand too how anybody would survive without the things coming right away when they attack people as pirates. That also doesn't make any logical sense in my head. It's like there's no way that you can rob somebody without making a lot of noise in this point. And maybe you don't care because you have a boat, I guess, because I guess that's what we're supposed to infer.
You're also always risking, because I think that it's supposed to be that the person will always risk their life, or like they'll save their life and give up their things, right? It's like, hey, we're gonna make you make a bunch of noise if you don't give us all your stuff, and then you go, okay, I'll give up all my stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, this world, like in the first movie, we saw this dude whose wife died, and then he was like, he just fucking was like, I'm done, right? It feels like you're gonna run into that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Of somebody who's like, hey, you take all my stuff, I'm gonna die, so I might as well die
Also,
and kill you.
How can you make sure when you attack somebody that they're going to be silent? Like, even with the trick that they devised with this little girl, he could scream the minute that he saw them, right? I mean, but anyway, so they've got them, and then, actually, I did like this part of the movie, but it's so buried in all this nonsense already that it gets underrated. I feel like when the boy accidentally... It doesn't make sense because he had his leg, but the fact of the boy and the baby being trapped in the vault with no oxygen while the thing is outside is great. Great
it
horror.
was a cool thing.
That, honestly, all you needed for this movie. You didn't need all this extraneous stuff. You could have, like, added it to, then they do this, then they all go together on the boat, right? And you don't need these pirate things. You just need the boat makes noise to start it up, right? And then the fact of, like, oh, they can't swim, right? Or whatever. Like, your own realization instead of somebody just telling you a little bit later, but whatever. Yeah, the towel thing just freaked me out so much because they're already low on oxygen and now they need double. And the fact of the brother having to take oxygen from the baby, I think was like just brilliant too. And it got into this thing too, is like, there's a bit of like family horror too of like, okay, like, well, is the family going to turn on each other at any point too? Like, I think in like every sort of apocalypse movie, you're like, who can you even trust? You know what I mean? Because the world has changed. The rules are different now. So anyway, then, to get out of the pirate thing, the guy says dive, because they set that up in the prequel, so you need that to make sense. And then she just, like, the deaf girl dives in, even though she was grabbed by a pirate somehow. I don't know. I don't know how to tell you. But anyway, then...
So there's a big fight, right? There's the big fight.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
and
too
then
late.
he's using the thing to jingle and trap the guys, and I can't remember. He's doing a bunch of stuff. The thing is killing everybody. The main pirate has stolen the hearing aid from the girl, and then whatever his name is, Emmett. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it is maybe Emmett or something. He
throws the jingling thing that they put on him around the pirate too, and then is making the pirate jingle, and then the thing goes and kills the pirate basically, and then they're all in the water, and then the girl, and then somehow in all of this he has taken the hearing aid from the pirate who has stolen it and put it in his mouth to keep it safe.
There was I think when this happened in the movie, I saw you shake your head. I would have looked at you, and I think we burst out laughing. I don't think we could stop laughing at how stupid that was, because there was so many gratuitous underwater takes of him where I swear to God, I mean, I can't remember it now, right? I can't play you back in my mind. I swear his mouth was open. There's no way he could have had that hearing aid. Because, too, he had like a noose around his neck. So how can you even keep that safely you're already low for breath? This made no sense. Honestly, it made sense that when the deaf girl jumped, she just took it out of his arm. You didn't need any more.
It was chaotic. It was just like, there's just like this fucking horrible chaotic fight. And somehow in all of that, he managed to both save himself, which is an impossible feat, and also save the hearing aid in his mouth.
So bad. It's so funny though. It's so, I cannot believe this was kept in. But anyway, so I think too, people were like weirdly amused in the theater from what I remember at the reaction, because I was just like, what do people think of this? Right? We're all sitting here trying to support theaters, and I feel like we're sad. But and then we like kind of see the creature go in the water with them, although we haven't been told yet that they are not good in water, and I don't know. I don't understand anything that's about to happen, just to be honest. But then anyway, Emily Blunt comes and she drops one of the oxygen cans and then manages to save them from the creature thing and locks herself into the vault with all of them, but the towel is on the door. So they're fine, don't worry. They like passed out for a little bit, but they're brought to life. And I guess everything's good. Now they have one whole container because she left the other one, and I guess the other one's empty because he passed out. And then they go to this island, the deaf girl, and I wish I should know her name, but I don't. Anyway, but sorry about that. But anyway, so they go on the island. They see people like having a cookout. Like it's like normal over there. It's
Yeah, it's just like all these, and that's the thing, because you're coming from this just like zombie post-apocalyptic wasteland into this island.
You can't even make any sounds. You can't even hear your mom's voice most days. Like,
and then there's this island, and they're just like, hey, everything's great here. We found out that they couldn't swim, and so we went to this island, and everything is happy here.
And they literally, that's the thing too, is like somebody just sits down and tells them, like, they're like, you know, like it's an olden day story. They're like, welcome to the story of our land. You made it. Congratulations, right? And I don't know why it's so pressing for the deaf girl, the teenage daughter, to go and put her hearing aid on this thing. And they're like, you know what? We'll wait a night. Maybe a couple of days. We have no idea the passage of time that is happening at this point. It honestly feels like they're days ahead.
They're also, and here's the radio station, right? So they have a radio station which works, which can broadcast pretty far. And they have chosen to, rather than have someone go in and say this very, very valuable information that apparently nobody knew from the first movie. The family doesn't know this at all, that they cannot swim, that the monsters cannot swim. And so they choose to do a code, which is they play a song having to do with the sea to hope that maybe people will figure it out and then come over to the island that they're at. They've got a bunch of people on this island. You can take shifts of people being like, hey, I understand that you might want to be secret.
Can talk, but clearly you can talk because you're having a cookout and having it too. Yes. So if there's any worry about you talking in the radio station and that the thing is, no, it is like, it feels like an elitist code, to be honest.
Yeah. And but they that's the thing, is they can keep their island a secret. Just go on there and be like, hey, everybody, like, they can't swim. You don't even have to tell them to come to your island. Just say, hey, get to an island because they can't swim. If you are in danger, get somewhere in the water because they can't swim. And they're just like, no, we're going to keep that information to ourselves. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the code being so complex is so silly. And anyway, so part of the story too, which I did think was interesting, and I honestly would have rather had the prequel about this than this sequel. So the guy launches in the story about how the National Guard was like, oh, hey, we've got all these boats, and that they were like, and all these people are screaming, and then things were like eating them, and there were 12 boats that could have gotten to the island, but only 2 went. I'm like very fascinated in that struggle, right? That would have been an interesting scene for me. Or even like they should have flashed back to that instead of having this guy just tell the story. I think they should have told that through flashback, because the horror has been weird at this point.
And that is, honestly, that's a great point, because if the beginning of the movie is just some random other characters who, like, they're trying to get on the boat, right? You know, they're like doing their lives. The announcement is made. They probably get murdered because there's some people who don't make it on the boat, right? But then you've got this like cool horror sequence. We can grow to love these characters and then have them murdered, and that's great, right?
Yeah.
And we also learn about this thing through a dynamic, cool way rather than just somebody expositorizing, whatever you call it, exploding.
Well, and it would have made this more of the focus. That's the thing. This movie was very unfocused. I think if you should just focus on, okay, we're going on the island, right? You don't need to split up the family. You don't need to do any of this. You just need to be like, how do we connect these people's struggle to that? And honestly, that could have been the third freaking movie, right? I think if we had a second movie that was not even related to anything, I think part of it was that they liked all of these actors and wanted to use them and make sure they work again, which as an actor, I appreciate, you know what I mean? But also tell some good stories, right? Like, they are good enough. They could come off and go to another thing, right?
And that's the thing, is you can tell this exact story, right? And do it, but just have the prequel thing be about different people, and then that's just cool. And we didn't learn, the only thing we learned from that prequel thing, other than things about the world, we learned a little bit, we saw the news story and stuff. All we learned is that they were friends with that dude. That was it. We didn't learn anything about the characters. We didn't learn anything about other than they're friends with this guy who will be important. We could figure that out a different way.
Yeah.
We
I
can
also
figure it out
don't
when they
think,
meet
I don't
him.
know if he did anything besides provided a male presence, because you were essentially being, that's I guess what sucked too, because for me it ended on such a badass feminist ending, and then it comes back and it's like, by the way, you need a man to survive, and it's like, and I feel like, yes, in their position, they probably do, right? Like, there is a part of me that wants to be honest, right? It's not like a feminist thing. They, like, do. But it also was like, you set this up and it's not really that. Like, you know, it felt like we could have commit and, like, made these badass hurt women, which would have been interesting to me, especially if we're just going to blow logic out the window anyway and having the sun walk. So... Anyway, then after a whole dialogue, even though she was like, I can't hear you if you don't enunciate, of him, the guy, Emmett or whatever, talking sideways to the deaf teenage daughter. And then they weirdly do this thing of like, you're nothing like my dad. And it's like, why would he want to be? They were just like casual like friends at this point. Like, it's weird. It's not like he's the brother, which is what I wish they made, because then some of the things that they were digging on would have made more sense than just like a friend, right? Like a brother. And I could maybe even see it too. It's still not important to the story, but they added like all of these things that just would have been interesting in the first story maybe too, or in a later story, but it's not this one about getting to an island. Anyway, so then the guy goes, and I guess somehow, which just doesn't make any sense to me, but somehow the creature rode on their boat, and they didn't die in the boat. My theory, I guess, is that it can't swim, but it attached to the boat underneath, and I guess didn't drown somehow, and is alive. Well, and now it's at the island, and now there's chaos again, because they were all making noise, and the one main dude who like told the story of the boats, and I guess is kind of like the mayor of the island. Sorry if my cats are in the back. I guess they're making noise about they don't have any regard for this movie that we're talking about. Anyway, they've learned nothing in me talking for 2 hours with my boyfriend about how being quiet may be important, and they have not retained any of this. But anyway, and then one of my other favorite things is the Emmett guy, he gets picked up in the car that he goes into, like, I guess, drive to the radio station, even though it's not really clear that that's where they're going. And then he's, like, sticking his hand out of the car. And so for me, watching the horror that I've watched, I was like, oh, fuck, they're gonna, now, the pattern is that we hurt people, right? He's got his arm out, the fucking thing's gonna reach out and bite it off, right? And so now the guy thing doesn't have an arm, we're not that close to the thing, but they don't do that. He survives, and instead they decide that the man who was driving them, because apparently it's not fast in a car, this one isn't, I guess it's like a little seasick, anyway, and then, yeah.
There was a stupid moment, I can't remember how it goes down, I don't know if you have a note about it, when the, like, mayor dude is like, they're like, hey, like, come through the door or whatever, and he's like,
we're just about here, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, he freaks out about his family. He's like, the thing, my family. And he's like talking out loud when they're like going to the radio station, trying to save the family. Because so far his family's like locked in a closet. So there's nothing wrong. But he like goes into a grief moment for whatever reason. So then he ends up dying. So now his family's really messed up, which it just doesn't make any sense. And we don't know the character enough to know why he would behave like that.
It's just a standard horror, like, the dude freaks out and then gets killed because he freaked out.
Yeah. And I guess, like, I don't know, I might have freaked out in that situation. That is crazy. Like, you know, we're over here judging, and in that minute I probably would have, like, peed my pants, right? Like, to be honest, like, I probably would have just let myself die, but I don't know. If I had people counting on me, I would have behaved differently. But maybe some people can't, apparently. But anyway, then they get the daughter to, like, ninja her way in this room, and she's got to, like, not... although I don't understand why they left it this messy, but okay, I guess. But anyway, she's got to get into the recording room and, like, not step on stuff to make noise, because that thing is clearly here. And then back in the vault thing, they go to check on the thing to see if the creature's still there. It is. It ends up ripping the mom's leg, because why not just mess them up? We don't really know if they'll ever be okay, honestly. That is not finished in this movie. But essentially, then after the thing rips on it, rips the mom's leg, they get some perfect timing miraculously, and the teenage daughter, even though her, like, Emmett, I guess, like, kind of gets injured, I think. Something happens where he's trying to fend him off and he's not doing very good, because obviously they're better. But she gets the broadcast thing and gets them all stunned. And I will say that it is a beautiful mirror of like the boy holding up to the thing and facing his fear, even though he's got a leg that he can't walk on, whatever. Anyway, in this moment, he is strong. He's a strong man, even though he's oxygen deprived, has to be super weak. I call it adrenaline, I guess. And then, but it is beautiful that like both of them are like killing the thing at the same time and have like risen up anyway. But
and then
logically, yeah.
The moment when she is everyone is about to die. It's a horrible, very tense moment. She needs to do it as quickly as possible. And she first stops the record from playing before she holds up the hearing aid to the microphone. She's like, nope, but first I need to make sure that the music is not also playing at the same time. And maybe
that would have affected the frequency if it's also playing before, but I don't know.
If it seems like it's not working, then you turn the music off second.
Yeah.
Right? First you just go, I'm just going to hold this up to the microphone because I need to make this happen rather than turn the thing off then we'll try it. Right? Like it was, and I understand from a filmmaking thing of like why you do that, and it's kind of a nice moment, and also, but like the character wouldn't do that.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have mattered if that song, honestly, it would have been kind of cool if that song was still playing and it was the high pitched frequency.
Also, she can't even hear the song.
Yeah.
Because her hearing aid is
Yeah,
on,
I don't think she would have even heard it.
I guess she can see that the record is spinning.
Yeah.
But that's not
and maybe you can feel vibrations in your ears. So it's not, you may not be able to hear, but you can feel something, and it might have been like hard for her to focus, because it's more, you're like taking it in that way, because it makes that sort of thing. We just have ears that like filter it better and stuff. Sure. I mean, there's like a science to it. But yeah, anyway, this movie garbage. There were a couple of moments that were great, but mostly garbage. I don't know. 47%, I would say.
It doesn't have, the first one is kind of in the disguise of a horror movie, but it's about a family, right? And it's about this, and the whole time you just care about this family and what's going on with them, and you want them to be well, and there's like these very important dynamics going on because of this son who died, right? And that is informing the whole movie and what is going on with these characters. And you're like, it's not so much about the fact that they're even hiding from these monsters, it's about that they have all of these family issues while they're trying to hide from the monsters and protect each other and stuff. And this one has none of that. This one is just, it's the family just Chapter 2, and the family's doing some more stuff.
We lost all the characters and I think there were some really good characters in the first one, and we were given kind of crap characters and things that were, like, more people were written in this movie to be like, oh, we want this production to be bigger, we want to employ more people, we want to do this, but it, like, didn't make sense to the story. And this is kind of what this felt like. It felt like, a Hollywood studio horror picture, right? Of a sequel. Every Hollywood studio picture, it's like, we don't care about the story. Get some famous people in it, make it bigger, and like maybe do some stuff that's a little scarier. I don't know.
And think about the moments from the first one, like when the kid and the dad are behind the waterfall and he's like teaching the kid to speak again because the kid is too terrified, right? You have moments like that. And this one, you don't have any of those moments. You don't have anything.
You can't, because there is a loss of the dad that you've set up, so you can't continue with these characters, and there's no like happy family moment. The only happy family moment you would get is if you'd followed the leader of the island, right, and his family, and what it was like to get that family.
You don't need to have that happy family moment. You just need to have now you have this family who has lost the dad, right? And you can deal with that, and you can have how do they deal with that? What do they... I feel like they just don't really deal with it. They just kind of move on.
It's hard because I would argue that I don't think they have time to deal with it, given that they are constantly in a crisis situation after crisis situation after crisis situation in this movie. There's no moment, except when she wants to just take a stroll down, but before she gets her son all patched up and her baby that's running out of oxygen, like, doesn't make any sense. So apparently they do have time to stroll. So, yeah, I guess you're right that they could have went and done with the dad's grief. I think it's like, I don't even think, to me, I didn't need that because I think it would have been just like really phony. Because in a way, like in the first movie, they already dealt with the dad's grief. Like there were so many moments of like quick things. And I do think And I kind of liked it because I feel like that's what The Last of Us 2 does. It's like the grief is there, but it's turned into this sort of like hunting monster in itself, right? The grief is that, no, I'm going to kill what killed my fucking dad, right? Like that is, and it wasn't played up as much in this movie. That is like, I think that happens in Silent Hill, which makes Silent Hill really compelling, is like that the grief is played in the horror. And this, it was like, it felt like it was playing the horror and not using grief as the motivator, which is what would have made it better. So, I mean, like, go to the theater. I definitely would recommend, I think, seeing this in theaters rather than on screen. But also, if you are looking for a good time, I cannot look at you in the face and say this movie is worth it. But I mean, I guess if you really want to laugh really hard at a ridiculous plot line, wait till the earpiece thing and then I guess walk out. I don't know. I'm assuming you've already seen it if you're listening to the review. But yeah, what did you guys think? Let me know below, and make sure you subscribe for more horror films. Luke's always getting me to watch more things. And then eventually we'll talk about his favorite ever, which is Goosebumps, which he didn't know until it was me, basically. Well, he got one Goosebumps book. So you did know, but I made you really know it.
Yeah, I didn't actually read the book, so.
Yeah, because you were banned.
I was banned.
And now I was like corrupting him. Sorry, Luke's mom. Sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Scorcho. I've really enjoyed Goosebumps, even though they scared me to death. Anyway, this isn't Goosebumps. This is A Quiet Place 2. So thanks so much. If you guys enjoyed my review, make sure you checked out the first one if you haven't. Make sure you check out my other reviews. And follow both of us on socials. Do you want to promote anything, Luke?
No.
All right. No comments at this time. I'm paid to be here. I have to be here for my relationship. That's your like version of who's the NFL guy that does that?
Why can't I think of his name? Beast Mode. Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch.
That's the
one.
one.
I love that icon. Anyway, have a good one. Bye.